Well, good afternoon. I hope you all enjoyed the meal. And now we have gathered, most of us, to begin with the panel, the eighth panel, with the title Bridging Heritage Stakeholders, Science and Industry. My name is Andrew Lidaki Amalia, for the ones who don't know me, and I am the General Director of Anastylosis at the Ministry of Culture, the Greek Ministry of Culture. And with us, there were some changes in the panel from the ETEC, the Cyprus Scientific and Technical Chamber. There is the General Secretary with us, Mr. Platon Stylianou. Also, Mr. Daktilidis Mikhail from the Pan-Hellenic Association of Engineers, Contractors of Public Works, and he's the president, Mr. Daktilidis. He's in the WebEx, okay. Mrs. Dalkafouki Maria, she's here. Chief Executive Officer of Dalkafouki House Ltd, the company, which provides us with all the precious materials for restoration. And Nicoletti Andrea, Product Manager of Master Builders Solutions. There you are. Also, Mr. Kakali Glikeria and Mr. Kaliabakos Dimitrios are excused because of health problems. I hope they will be fine. And also with Mr. Komnitsas Konstantinos, Professor Komnitsas Konstantinos, from the Technical University of Crete, the School of Mineral Resources and Engineering. He's on the WebEx. Ah, good. Okay, so Mrs. Okay, Mr. Rodriguez, Mr. Vlachos, Mr. Komnitsas, and Mr. Daktilidis, they will be online. And then Mr. Katsiotis, Dr. Katsiotis Marios, from the Titan Cement Group. He's the Research and Innovation Manager. Mrs. Zafiri Styliani, who represents the firm E. Zafiri, but you are the daughter. Okay. And Mr. Vlachos Vangelis, Chief Executive Officer at the Development and Tourism Promotion Company of the Municipality of Athens, and who is going to be online. And as a rapporteur would be Mrs. Rodriguez Maribona Isabel, Chair at the European Construction Technology Platform, Heritage and Regeneration Committee. So, to begin, I would like to address a few words to all of you. I want to say that in spite of all these problems, this has been a good year for the Ministry of Culture. And it has been a good year because we have completed, I will only refer to 3 projects: the National Gallery at Athens, and we have also managed to bring the Acropolis experience and the site into the 21st century by improving lighting, improving accessibility. And we have also been awarded the Europa Nostra Prize for the restoration of Plaka Bridge at Epirus. And I cannot imagine how all these 3 projects could have been completed if we didn't have the collaboration and the very strong network of heritage stakeholders. And I will only name the most important one, but it will include all, just not name individually, but I will refer for all these three projects, different three projects, completely different. It was, of course, under the coordination of the Ministry of Culture, but it included other ministries, like the Ministry of Infrastructure and Works, municipalities, the regional governors, the prefectures, the Technical Chamber of Greece, freelancers, of course, all our important foundations like Onassis Foundation and Niarchos Foundation and other donors, small private donors as well, and the National Technical University and other universities. So we had scientists and experts, and of course, the public. In most of these cases, we had the people that wanted all these to be implemented and to be completed. And we had the pressure of and the demand of the public as well, which is a key factor. So I will give the floor to each of you, and I will have a question which you might answer, but I'm sure you will answer it or not. Based on your experience, what are your recommendations of improving and strengthening the bonds and collaboration between all those stakeholders? How we can create, how do you think we can create a common language and understanding on the common ground that we all stand, which is the ground of heritage, and preserving for future generation our heritage and sustain not just tangible, but also the intangible values that they carry for us. So I give the floor first to Mr. Pavlos Stylianou, the General Secretary of ETEC, which is the Cyprus Scientific and Technical Chamber.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity given to the Cyprus Technical Chamber to participate in such an interesting and useful conference. And special thanks to Mrs. Moropoulou. Our heritage and culture is of major importance and must be accordingly appreciated, as we all know, by all participants and all stakeholders. And when we say stakeholders, we mean all people involved, and that is needed in a holistic approach. That means client and owners, either current or future owners, since cultural heritage belong to the future owners as well, and also to academia, to consultants, to the new thing that is coming, which is digital technology, 3D, 4D, or 5D documentation, for structural restoration, for the new materials that invented, for designers and contractors. And when we say contractors, we mean all things of that a contractor can do, which is material, which is contract techniques, which is special things for the workers of how to work and how to use these new materials and new techniques. And in such a multidisciplinary work, all these people should be involved, and all experts and consultants should work together in a holistic approach and find a good way to work, and how we also need to understand how to raise awareness for these things. And it's very important to raise awareness for the correct and holistic approach in cultural heritage buildings and techniques to be used. So as the National Technical Chamber of Cyprus, we welcome and fully support such conference on the holistic approach. And we are in full collaboration with our Greek and European colleagues, and of course with the Antiquity Department of all these departments in Cyprus, of course, and the ECOMOS, the academia, and all the stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we go to online, I think, with Mr. Daktilidis Mikhail from the Pan-Hellenic Association of Engineers, Contractors of Public Works. He's the president, actually, of this body. Can we be connected with Mr. Daktilidis?
You hear me?
We cannot hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear something, but can you louder, please? Can you say something?
No.
Yes, you can say. We can hear you now. Mr. Daktilidis, we are ready to listen to you. He's not listening to me. Can you hear me?
I hear you just a little.
Okay, but we hear you loud and clearly, so can you please
Okay.
proceed?
Okay.
Thank you.
I would like to thank you very much for the invitation to participate in this panel in the frame of the second International TMM conference with the title Bringing Heritage, Stakeholders, Science and Industry, a very interesting and challenging at the same time topic. PEDMEDE, the Pan-Hellenic Association of Engineers, Contractors of Public Works, the Greek association that represents the construction sector abroad as member of FIEC, EIC and EDA, has among its priorities to serve the heritage of our country by bridging past and future as far as construction are concerned. I would like to inform you also that it is a very important topic for FIEC also. It means all around the European construction ecosystem. One of the most crucial issues we should take into consideration as regards cultural and heritage buildings in terms of construction is the renovation respecting climate neutrality recovery. Energy efficiency of public and private buildings, including cultural and heritage buildings, are among the first priorities in EU. The EU Green Deal, with the renovation wave strategy, mobilized many investments and policies in public and private building renovations for EU members. Safeguarding cultural heritage and respecting cultural diversity of Europe's building stock are highlighted in these policies. A massive program of energy efficiency renovation for residential buildings, business, and public sector buildings and infrastructures in a core pillar in the Greek recovery plan as well. Following this trend, renovation of buildings is a topic strongly addressed through our activities, initiatives, and EU projects we are involved. As PEDMEDE. Currently, we are involved in the RenoVap and Erasmus project, aiming to upskill site managers and team leaders in the specific management of building renovation sites in Europe. Additionally, our project bank aims to develop nearly zero energy building skills through game-based learning. We could go ahead without mentioning the construction blueprint, a big project, a core sectoral project that aims the development of a new sectoral strategic approach to cooperate on skills in construction industry. At last, closely to the cultural renovation needs, we recently drafted and were awarded the project Cultural Lights, specifically aiming at the sustainable renovation of cultural buildings and the installation of sustainable lighting systems. Cultural buildings and the restoration of their historic structures are the epitome of renovation strategies because of the necessity of their cultural value preservation. Cultural protection rules can be very strict for such buildings, particularly in cases where they do not only protect the external appearance of a building, but also its dimensions, proportions, and original materials. Adaptive lighting, with the aim of building adaptive reuse, can be a tool for sustainability, guarantee cultural heritage conservation in the historical and architectural value. Within this framework, construction professionals are called to familiarize themselves with such methodologies while also respecting the cultural values of such buildings and listening to the needs of their users. In short, we are trying to bring construction professionals and stakeholders closer to the skills needs generated by an energy efficient, digital, and circular economy transition. Apart from this, we are in close cooperation with academia, the industry, and the public authorities in order to ensure that the EU challenges faced in the sector are transferred in national level. It is also important to create synergies and networks for exchanging practices, share know-how, and mobilize the sustainable use of resources. To this end, we have signed memoranda and understanding with the Center of Construction Innovation of the National Technical University of Athens, and we also preparing MOUs with the Hellenic Open University and the Municipality of Athens in order to build initiatives for sustainable cities. With the same aim, we have already MOUs with the Ministry of Environment and Energy in order to cooperate together for enabling the sustainable and green transition. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daphilidis, for your contribution. It's very encouraging, what you have said, and the projects we have seen so far are very promising as well. So thank you very much for that. And now we go forward to Mrs. Maria Dalkafouki, the Chief Executive Officer of the Dalkafouki House Ltd.
Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you very yes, it's better like this. Thank you first the community for this invitation, especially Mrs. Moropoulou. It's very honored to be participate to this panel. My name is Maria Dalkafouki. I'm here to represent our company, Dalkafouki House, Dalkafouki Ecos Ltd. Our company is now 20 years in Greece, and since we start, we are specialized until today to restoration materials for historical buildings, raw materials, and ready-mixed mortars for joints, injections, plasters, and whatever it's necessary for restoration. It's very important for us to be present always to the projects because it's how we can understand the needs of each building. Every building is unique, and this is the way to understand and know and monitor the course of the materials. Supplying the mortars for the whole monument, of course, it was the greatest time for our company, and it was very honored. And I personally, I was very blessed to be there, and when the project was on progress, and feel the unique unity of the team. And this is maybe I can say the most important, and maybe it's an answer to your question too, Mrs. Amirovidaiki, that are the people that make the difference, and this team make the difference. This is what I felt, and this is what I want to share with you. Of course, the materials are important. The scientists that they create the materials are very important, but the workers and the conservation and all the team must be together to build and to restore it. Thank you very much for being here, and I'm here to
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Dalkafouki. Probably you have less to say, and you're doing more things than you. Yes, you say things. Maybe we have to say more things about you, and how when we are approaching something which is new, you always help us with doing your own tests to confirm what we have already done, and supply us with materials so we can make samples. So thank you very much, Mr. But I don't think this is not permitted to emphasize on the work of Mrs. Dalkafouki, but she's been with us for many years. She looks very young, but she's been with us for over 25 years? 20, yeah, for over 20 years. So we proceed from that to Mr. Nicoletti, Andrea, product manager of Master Builder Solution.
Okay. So,
please.
Okay, thank you for the presentation and the invitation. I'm from MBCC, Master Builder Solution Construction Chemicals. Just a few words about the company. The company has a long tradition in the construction materials. We produce, develop, and sell products for all the most technical solutions for constructions in general. We started the first brand appear in the 90s, so a long time ago, and more or less 25 years ago we developed a specific range of products for the historical restoration, reinforcement, refurbishment. And by the way, we cooperate since the beginning with Maria Dalkafouki, and probably the most important job where we deliver our materials was the Holy Grave in Jerusalem, the most important for, of course, the historical reasons. In this specific job also, Professor Moropoulou support the job in a very good way. In these jobs, as in other jobs that we approach every day, from the most important ones to the, let's say, the standard ones, and also to connect into your initial question, the key of the success of the best possible result is the cooperation and the involvement of all the different players from the beginning. I mean, all the people has to have a clear idea about the scope of the job and trying to find the, let's say, the best solutions. And this could be achieved only by involve everything from the beginning till the end. That's my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nicoletti. And now we proceed with Mr. Komnitsas Konstantinos, professor at the Technical University of Crete, and School of Mineral Resources and Engineering. Is it online? Yes. We can see you.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I see my face twice in the screen, and probably I don't know why
You have not
in
run
two
well.
screens. Anyway, thank you very much for inviting me in this very interesting panel, and in this extremely interesting discussion. It's a pity that we're far away for another time, and it's a usual practice. I think this last 2 years. Bridging heritage stakeholders, science and industry means that all these stakeholders need to be bridged, and they need to be bridged, especially in this difficult time, through initiatives. Initiatives. I mean, in universities, we often have good ideas, but I do not know how often these ideas are put on a paper. I think my view is that the heritage is at risk, not only in Greece, but also at European Union level. So I think one very important initiative is to, let's say, strengthen innovation, let's say, for a more resilient cultural heritage. And this can be done through research, through pilot tests, through larger tests, and in order to let's say, take advantage of everything that the cultural heritage can provide, not only in Greece, not only in our country, but also at European level. There are several issues that these initiatives should target. One of these issues is, for example, to target sustainable reconstruction of historic areas, and also issues that have to do with the climate change and hazard events. There are many research initiatives, for example, to transform historic urban areas and cultural landscapes into hubs of, let's say, entrepreneurship, social and cultural integration. What has happened, for example, I think most of us are familiar with the technological park in Lavrion. This is a very good example. Another issue is to target innovative approaches to urban and regional redevelopment or development through cultural tourism. Also to target the societal value of culture and the impact of cultural policies at European level. Also to focus on, let's say, collaborative approaches to cultural heritage and cultural cohesion. Another issue is to develop to a higher, let's say, level or degree, a social platform on endangered cultural heritage and on illicit trafficking of cultural goods, which is a very important aspect. From my point of view, as an engineer, and most of you know these issues very well, we need to test new smart materials. There is a lot of funding at European Union level about new materials, smart materials. Smart materials can find many applications in historic, let's say, masonry structures, to improve seismic resistance, and let's say post-earthquake behavior of the buildings, to apply 3D laser scanning technology for damage assessment, and for reconstruction of historical buildings. And there are too many of these issues. I mean, I've given you a few ideas, probably for things I would like to be involved in, but also I think many of you would agree that they are important. I'll stop here, and if needed, we can go on for another round. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Professor Komnitsas. By the way, Lavrion Technological Park is existing, and now the museum is going to be completed. So maybe it has not is working in full steam, but it is doing well, and it's doing MasterChef classes as well. So there are other stakeholders coming in into heritage. Now we move to Dr. Katsiotis Marios from Titan Cement Group. He's actually the Research and Innovation Manager. We welcome you.
Thank you, Ms. Androglidaki, and greetings to all of us, to all of participants here and everyone who's watching us remotely. Just one clarification, I'm actually heading the Group Research, Innovation and Quality Department at Titan, just to clarify. I'd like to begin by thanking Professor Emeritus Donia Moropoulou and the organizing team for the kind invitation, and also congratulate them for doing such a wonderful job for organizing this conference. It can be very challenging to do so under the current conditions. I'd like to ask maybe if we can project the slides I provided earlier. It's a very short presentation about what we do as Titan, and also one example that is relevant for great, thank you very much. So I'll begin by saying a few words about who we are. We are multinational company that began in Greece in 1902 from Elefsina. This is where the first cement factory was built. And since then, Titan has expanded with a presence in more than 25 countries. I'm referring, of course, to trade activities. And there is cement plants, 14 cement plants in 10 countries. What has been part of our identity since the beginning is our values, what we call in Greek ethos. And of course, it refers to integrity, to know-how, to bringing value to the customer, delivering results, the continuous need to self-improve, and of course, what we more recently referred to as corporate social responsibility. As I'm sure most of you know, what we do is we provide building materials and related services to our customers worldwide to serve the need for durable, safe, resilient, and affordable housing. In this slide, you can see the locations where we operate. This is where our cement and concrete plants are located. There is strong presence in Southeastern Europe, Greece, of course, and other locations in Europe. Also on the eastern side of US, as well as more recently in Brazil. Now, before going to the example I was referring, I'd like to present very quickly a few highlights of our recent innovation activities, beginning with the way we perform, if you want, innovation, and this is inspired by our digitalization strategy. Practically, we follow 3 steps, beginning with test and learn. We are eager to try out new approaches in a manner that brings forth no regrets. So simple, fast, and as soon as we learn, we bring that we start to implement that in specific locations, and as soon as we see that that works in that location, then we implement in other locations across the group. Now, referring to digitalization, I think it's worth saying that we have a very strong digitalization initiative, which has resulted in several optimization processes related to assets, to distribution network, to predicting the equipment failure, and of course building information modeling. And I think what is more relevant and interesting to the young professionals in the audience is our Regeneration Academy, twice we have supported this initiative, which it aims to gather new professionals, young professionals, engineers, scientists, to improve their skills on digital technologies. And through both these initiatives, we've had almost 100 young professionals finding employment related to digital innovation in Titan and other companies. Moving on with another innovation we would like to mention is the recent investment that is currently developing in our cement plant in Kamari near Athens. This refers to the installation of a precalciner unit, and it's worth mentioning, we believe, because that will lead to approximately 450,000 tons of CO2 savings. This also another reason why I'd like to mention it here is that this project has been designed entirely with our in-house capacities for building information modeling. Thank you. Another one which I'm also very proud of, it's, let's say, if I may say, call it that way, it's a recent industrial experiment we performed. We're very proud to say that we're among the few companies, few cement producers worldwide where we can produce a new type of cement with at least 30% less CO2 emissions and performance equivalent to conventional products. We're also very proud for this because this was done also in collaboration with the contribution, if you want, of industrial scholarships, industrial PhD candidates who worked through both the Marie Curie initiative and also the initiative by the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for industrial scholarships. And one last concept, and which is, I believe, of particular relevance to the conference, is new concepts for repair mortars. Essentially, we're looking into both self-healing and self-sensing capacities. I believe also one of the members of the panel mentioned that smart materials they will bring forth additional value for protecting built heritage. And I would like also to mention here that this initiative has been done also in collaboration with Stavros Niarchos Foundation, referring to the industrial scholarship, while also we are participating in one project co-funded by the Greek state, by, I assume pretty much everyone knows, Ερευνό Δημιουργό Καινοτομό, which refers to self-sensing materials for repairing also structures of built heritage. And I'd like to close to responding to your question, Mrs. Androulidaki, about how we can bridge the different stakeholders, science and industry. I believe this is of particular relevance for matters related to built heritage, but also all other challenges that we're facing, and of course I'm referring to climate change. And it's I believe, clear to everyone that we need innovation, we need new solutions. And as it was also mentioned by other members of the panel, people are key, and I'd like to be very specific and refer again to the way we, if you want, perform this kind of innovation. We see that in addition to infrastructure, to analytical capacity, there are two key roles referring to people. We're using, of course, digitalization terminology, so please bear with me a minute. We have the so-called deep domain experts. We would call them the scientists with the fundamental understanding and knowledge of how things work. And then you have the integrators. They are the people who will make sure that the idea that is nurtured by the deep domain experts actually find its way to innovation. And we need both these two, let's say, groups of people to make sure that the bright and wonderful ideas that become apparent in the minds and in the labs of our assets, they can be transferred to higher TRL, they can be made real. So that's it. That's all from me. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for your very thorough and inclusive presentation. And I really liked what you said at the end about the two groups of people and how we proceed. We have to organize that better. You're right. Now we proceed to Mrs. Styliani Zafiri from the Zafiri Techniki, which is a construction company.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here among distinguished scientists and representatives of stakeholders, industry, and science. As you have already heard, I'm representing EEP Zafiri Techniki Ltd. We, as a construction company, have been engaged with different kinds of restoration and rehabilitation throughout the years, but what really fascinated us was the rehabilitation of monuments. And what could be a more important project than the rehabilitation of the Holy Sepulchre? As you may or may not already know, we were the constructor at the construction site in charge of this great project under the NTUA High Scientific Supervision and the integrated governance of the project. To be more specific, our team worked with the interdisciplinary team of the NTUA, for which Professor Moropoulou was scientifically in charge. And with daily cooperation and interaction, we were able to accomplish this great mission. This whole experience didn't only make our working quality better, but also enlightened us with specialized knowledge. Another really helpful outcome was the fact that we formed some strong collaboration contacts which keep going, and a great example is the rehabilitation of the Catholican in the Varnakova Monastery, which is taking place right now. For this project, we are also in cooperation with the NTUA and also using materials which turned out to have the better quality in Jerusalem. The goals of the project are to ensure structural integrity, along with shielding this historic structure from the earthquake with performing materials and rehabilitation interventions in a way that the aesthetic, historic, and architectural values of the monument will be preserved and revealed. The rehabilitation of the Holy Sepulchre and the rehabilitation of the Catholican in the Varnakova Monastery show significant similarities concerning the methods of consolidation and rehabilitation. Hence, we apply the lessons learned from Jerusalem. Our team would be more than happy to talk to you more about our projects. So we encourage you to reach out for. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. We were prepared to listen more to what you had to say. So it was only one, okay. Maybe you will talk about that more in the future or later today?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So we proceed now to Mr. Vlachos, Vangelis Vlachos, Chief Executive Officer of the Development and Tourism Promotion Company of the Municipality of Athens. Mr. Vlachos, are you with us?
Hello.
Ah, yes, there you are. We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm hearing myself.
Yes, yes, you can proceed.
Whenever you're ready.
We are ready.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the kind invitation and for this wonderful opportunity to talk and exchange opinions with such a distinguished panel. Cultural heritage has become a universal value, connecting humanity with its roots, contributing to the identity of future generations, and there is a great need to establish mechanisms for the protection and preservation of cultural and environmental resources. This is especially true for a city with a unique cultural heritage like Athens. The creation of a solid foundation of cooperation between heritage, science, and industry stakeholders is one of the top priorities of the Athens Development and Destination Management Agency, especially through our role as the city's DMO, the Destination Management and Marketing Organization. We implement policies and actions and form partnerships that enable the city to meet the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and develop actions for effective cultural heritage management. The pandemic has accelerated the implementation of a holistic approach that invests in quality of life of the city and aims to make Athens a safe, sustainable, and accessible destination for all. To describe briefly what this means, we no longer seek to promote Athens internationally only in order to create demand for Athens as a visitor destination. We also help the city of Athens to lead the local tourism industry and to serve as a key generator of local competitiveness and development. When we talk about a holistic approach to destination management, we are talking about building new partnerships, when partnerships where everyone must be involved in the decision-making process. We're talking about boosting local competitiveness, sustainability, product diversification, and effective cultural management through the use of digital technologies. Furthermore, we're talking about urban regeneration, offering digitalization incentives to local businesses to upgrade their products, introducing innovative social support services, and everything that comes into play to generate high satisfaction and urban quality of life for our residents and visitors. Especially with regards to effective cultural heritage management, we concentrate on two main pillars of action. The first pillar involves investments in product diversification, which is important not only because visitors have changing tastes, but because even the local tourism ecosystem has a responsibility to do its best and to respond better to global challenges. It is important to know that there can be no sustainable tourism without a sustainable city, and there cannot be a sustainable city without sustainable tourism. Therefore, our work as a DMO must be approached not only thinking about tourism as an ecosystem of hotels, visitor attractions, and transport. Much more, it is about supporting the cultural heritage of all 129 neighborhoods of Athens and generating new opportunities to live and work in the city. We need to make sure that cultural heritage is managed and promoted beyond theoretical ambitions, so our work starts at the street level. The city is creating a network of green spaces of all sizes. 10 new pocket parks that expand the network of green spaces are added to the existing network of historic parks, where there are major restoration projects underway by the city of Athens, like the Fix Park and the National Gardens. In the last years, we've also seen proposals and pilot projects for major changes to Syntagma Square and along Panepistimiou, and these proposals have been adapted and changed as a result of feedback and participation from the community. These projects are part of the city strategy that is reimagining public spaces so that can have multiple uses, including sustainable mobility, and so that we no longer have to plan the streets only to be dominated by cars. In 2019, we had more visitors than any time in our history, more than 6.4 million arrivals at the airport alone. We want to continue welcoming as many visitors to Athens as we can handle, but we're going to do it better. We're going to do it more sustainable. Through our strategy for tourism promotion and development, we succeeded in establishing Athens as more than just a stopover destination. We have partnerships with the Athens Traders Association and chambers of commerce that are helping the city to build a strategy to support small businesses that they want to create an online footprint or upgrade the energy efficiency of their physical storefront. During the pandemic, we were able to provide funds to creative and cultural producers to help ensure they could stay in business. Also, we have a program called This is Athens with a Local, a volunteer program that brings citizens and visitors together and promotes neighborhood hawks of the beaten path experience in Athens. The second pillar helps us to mitigate the negative effects of over-tourism and crowds through investments in digital services for cultural management, through new forms of cultural heritage management, which have interdisciplinarity and synergies at their core. The vital energy of historical monuments can be highlighted. Monuments become the focal point of two important historical meetings, connecting civil society and sustainability. In this journey, the work of protecting monuments goes hand in hand with the needs of modern life. For this reason, we are establishing the first sustainable tourism observatory in Greece, and after steady work, we are ready to create a digital city bus with the cooperation of the Ministry of Culture and all stakeholders in Athens. The new pass will advance our capacity for digital monitoring of touring flows in main sites of interest. Another example of our efforts to sustainably promote our city's cultural heritage is the Athens Film Office. We have joined the city in building the Athens Film Office, which is a great success story of the last 2 years. The Athens Film Office, inspired location scouts, facilitates permissions and tax credits, and has already attracted dozens of major productions to Athens in the first 2 years. So this is an example. You can see how we are involved in the promotion, protection, and transformation of our cultural heritage, its extension to new platforms, and also, and this is very challenging, its expansion through new investments, job opportunities, as well as skills training. Our municipal agency is deeply involved in promoting and supporting cultural heritage across the city. Our cultural heritage is our quality of life. We treat our cultural heritage as a public good that citizens and visitors not only feel a responsibility to use and experience, but also to feel a duty to contribute individually or collectively to its protection and promotion. Athens is on a journey towards sustainability and accessibility. We believe in our city, we believe in our people, and we believe that Athens belongs to the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vlachos. We really were very enthusiastic with what you have done and what you propose to do. Now I think there is plenty of time. Maybe we can proceed with some questions or with another cycle of, you want me to address a question, or does anybody from the audience have a question for the panel? Or an intervention, or someone wants to speak about something, about one of the topics that we refer to? Well, if we are connected still with Mr. Vlachos, can you hear me? Mr. Vlachos? Yes.
Yes.
Well, I have a question for you, if I may. Yes. In Athens, there are many abandoned buildings. Most of them, many of them, are just buildings from the late 20th century. But many of them as well are buildings that are monuments, or they could be monuments. And I know that your municipality has been concerned for a long time for this, and I would really like to hear if you have if you have made any progress on how you will deal with these abandoned buildings. Because this is not just heritage, they are part of a city, which is an alive city, and also they are property of people, organizations, that they could also benefit from having them repaired and reused. So can you tell us a few, if you can, a few words about this issue?
Yes, actually, what you are describing is one of the major problems that the city has to deal with. The city of Athens is already taking an initiative to register all the abandoned buildings and try to even attract investors, or to deal with all the bureaucratic problems that have been existing for the past years. What you talked, about different ownerships and how difficult it is to deal with different entities is another problem that we are trying to work with the central government. We have started an initiative with the National Technical University of Athens in following the example of London. It's called Coloring Athens, which is actually an open platform that we will use to register all the buildings in the territories of Athens, and then the platform will be available to all the citizens in order to enter data for the buildings of Athens. This will be a very useful and helpful tool for engineers, for public services, even for citizens and potential investors. So if we all join our forces and use digital tools, I think that we can go through this problem you are describing. That is a very challenging problem for the city and the mayor.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Vlachos. Well done. Good job you're doing there, it seems. Now, maybe I will just go to Mrs. Rodriguez Maribona Isabel, who is the rapporteur for this panel. And I don't know if she has followed us and she's online. Can you please connect us with her?
Yes, I am connected. I don't know if you can hear me properly.
Yes, we can hear. And
okay, so I have summarized the session. So first of all, thank you very much for your participation in this interesting session of the Congress. As you know, the panel has been composed by very relevant members of public administrations dealing with cultural heritage and tourism management, academia and industry, including both SMEs and large companies, covering the complex value chain of the sector. So I make reference to the sector of conservation, management and enhancement of cultural heritage because it is a sector in its own right, although strongly linked with other sectors such as tourism, construction and creative industries. As mentioned by our chair, Mrs. Androulidaki, every year heritage conservation and restoration works are undertaken and which owing their success to the collaboration between public and private sector as well as with the academia. Considering that this collaboration is of a fundamental importance, the speakers have provided different points of view on how the interrelation between these actors could be improved. In this sense, cultural heritage buildings are facing a growing importance for the construction sector. In this sense, FIEC is widely considering its renovation activity and in particular energy efficiency improvement of protected buildings while preserving their architectural and historical values. Construction professionals are increasing its training towards this complex activity while also strengthening its cooperation with the academy. On the other side, restoration materials are a field of activity in which the specific needs of every building seems to be taken into consideration. This can be done through the collaboration between researchers and workers to combine development and application. Besides, we need a specific and smart materials to face cultural heritage restoration that is very frequently in very harsh environmental conditions. This also includes the development of sensor-embedded materials, which is a high priority in most of the research areas right now. Also, all the stakeholders should be bridged to face cultural heritage challenges. Universities very often have brilliant ideas that need to be implemented in practice. Resilience of cultural heritage against man-made and natural risk should be a priority, targeting sustainable reconstruction of historic areas located in hazard areas. Besides, cultural heritage should be used as a successful way of social and economic development of urban and rural areas. Collaborative approaches should be taken to face these challenges while involving also civil society. The role of multinational companies in cultural heritage is driven by digitalization strategies to optimize predictive maintenance and management. Also, reducing CO2 footprint is a major priority for the cement industry, and as such, in-house and open innovation is needed. But we still need innovation and fundamental understanding to face the environmental challenges of our built heritage. Some interesting examples of academia and private collaboration have been shown during the session with spectacular results. But city policies and strategies with a holistic approach should be also considered to tackle the sustainable development goals and to face the post-pandemic era, where sustainable cultural tourism will play an important role both in cultural heritage and urban management and promotion. Cultural buildings connect sustainability and civil society, as the example of Athens has shown, thus needing an interdisciplinary and multi-agent approach. So, as a final conclusion of this session, I would say that we are improving our collaboration, but we still need to identify new areas of opportunities in cultural heritage research and also to identify some other relevant spaces as this Congress to collaborate more and more. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I forgot to mention that you are the chair of the Heritage and Regeneration Committee at the European Construction Technology Platform, ECTP. Thank you very much for this very for the conclusions and for the remarks that you have made. There is time left, so yes, please.
If I can add something
No?
to the previous question and issue that you raised, the abandoned building is actually a big problem, and we are facing the same problem in Cyprus. It's something that it needs to be solved, and there is the same problem. It's a common problem in major capital in Europe as well. One possible way is to make a regular inspection of building, but make it by law. We have to enforce the regular inspection of buildings. And if you have regular inspection of buildings every 5 years or 10 years, or at a time that it's going to be discussed and approved and find as a solution for, and it has to do with the typology of the building and how old it is, and if it's traditional or if it's a monument or something else, then this has to, it will help a lot in order to do something with these buildings, because they are abandoned or they are there and they are posing threats to the buildings that are next to them or to the whole neighborhood or the people just passing by. And it's a big issue that needs to be solved. And also we have discussed this issue in the ECHE. ECHE is the European Council of Civil Engineers, and we have published the 3S approach recently in the year 2020. The 3S approach is safe, sound, and sustainable building. And if you go to the webpage of the ECHE, you can see the manifesto of ECHE, and there is also a position paper on these things. And it's something that it's thinking, and it's very good to be considered of how to make this regular inspection of buildings by law, even in Greece, in Cyprus, in Europe, everywhere. I think it will help a lot.
Yes, thank you. I know in Slovenia there is a big problem with abandoned buildings. Actually, I've heard recently that they could house the whole population of Austria into these houses that are abandoned in Slovenia.
It's not a really problem
In rural
abandoned.
areas. In
It's
rural
problem of that people have several flats and buildings which are in good condition. And since the being owner is a responsibility, they sometimes do not manage to use them. It's not a problem. Because I was 10 years ago leading the National Institution for Housing. It's one of the duties. And I know that that's not a problem. There are some things, but it's a question of responsibility of owner. But that's another problem. We have a problem with many beautiful castles because we've been borderline to the second borderline to Turkish Empire. And Ministry of Culture, who is owner, is not able. But it's not a problem of make construction. It's a problem of usage. So, you know, many times I was telling that the monument has to justify investment. You just cannot repair for what? If I were a banker, I would ask you, why do you using my money? What is my return? So the main concern also of this topic is to talking about the usage, about prioritization investment according to the future use. Very good case is in Czechsky Krumlov, where it's very good Baroque theater, where they started to give performances. They're earning 3 times more money than they expected. So that is main concern. So, but why I asked, I would very much link to the last intervention. I think here, you around us, we should give a clear message. I know Isabel, we've been working in same framework 7 years together. What she says is declaratively perfect. But it's too wide. It's a policy. We need here to see what from this menu we give a message to be used in next years, not in centuries. And what I'm suggesting, one of these, is to take care about the usage of the future renovated building and put a very strong responsibility in the hands of owner.
Well, thank you. Yes, you're absolutely right about that. And I think that's the case in Greece and in Cyprus as well. But the problem is that when the owner does not have the means or the use for it, so, and we're getting fewer, you know. Maybe we should have more children so that they will find use for those. Or get more people from other countries, like the immigrants. They could be useful to either help us with renovating, building, and also using these buildings. Now I have to, are there any more questions, Mrs. Moropoulou? Yes.
It's not a question. I would like, first of all, to thank all of you for the very interesting panel, interlinking many of the themes of the other panels, like, for instance, the historic cities, the reuse, and not only the historic cities, but the cities in general. However, I would like to make a few comments concerning the dynamics of this bridging between industry, science, and stakeholders. For many years, Amalia remembers this since the 90s. We were fighting as people of science for compatible materials in restoration of cultural heritage. And she remembers that I was saying in the first European educational seminar at ECOM I performed at the NTUA, that we should exercise cement concrete if we want to save our monuments. And at that time, I had all the conscience of how difficult it would be with all the industries of cement concrete in the market as a powerful presence to which we were against. I'm very happy to say that 30 years after, what is happening today? Today, our student, Mario Scaciotti, student at that time, he is the executive officer not in the conservative part of Titan to deal with traditional materials, but at the innovative and research part of the Titan. Titan is a global industry of cement concrete. Dealing with compatible mortars in that line, this is a great issue. At the same time, when NTUA, my team and laboratory, cooperating with Professor Viscontin in Scienza Ambientale a Ca' Foscari di Venezia, was developing with us new ingredients for compatible mortars, we were entering industry, developing through Fassa Bartolo, and today these products are dealt by the presenters here of industry, the Nicoletti and Alcafucci. We entered industry, and we started with some lines of compatible materials, but with innovative materials as well. And now they are distributed all over Europe. The market has been changed, production change has been changed, but monuments are now served by all these materials that are compatible. Within 30 years, the dominating industry and the new industrial branches are now here to serve monuments. This is sustainability, and these are dynamics. And this is what we say that people are developing new things, like what we said in the morning with the non-destructive testing. We started applying non-destructive testing for health aims to the buildings and the heritage assets, and we developed new monitoring tools for structural health monitoring, as well as for the monitoring of the preservation state. And now it's a big issue to develop a new culture. It's not the industry the problem. Now the problem is the stakeholders and the culture of society. And of course the state, they should adapt these new tools. They should adapt monitoring as a tool for sustainability of buildings, of cities, not only historic cities. Our cities are at the end of their life. After 70 years, after the Second World War, that these buildings have been erected in a mass production all over the globe, and especially in Europe, they are in front of them having the challenge of the end of life of the strengthening iron rebars. So we are at the end of the problems of the carbonation of the cement concrete. And that means that if we do not go right now for the endorsement of these tools within measures, policies, and practices of the cities, of the state, of the stakeholders, there is no future. And regarding what are the anisotropic phenomena to have in our cities abandoned areas and overcrowded areas with skyscrapers, etc., what we need to do is to adapt and develop and culture new harmonies and new interconnections. This is your bridging, interlinking ground between private and public sector. We were 3 days ago with Bonnie Burnham, the president of the Cultural Heritage Finance Alliance, prior president of the World Monuments Fund, who funded the Holy Edicule project at large. And we were discussing about how to give incentives and to develop new institutional frameworks in order to rehabilitate through reuse, not only abandoned, but even degrading buildings in the center of Athens. And this is the perspective. This will capitalize the effort to through the reuse, to give some resources for the overall protection of the city. And these are the messages. Of course, you will have the opportunity to follow the other panels, and we will have at the end of the conference the opportunity to make some general conclusions. But I thank you very much for this very alive panel, which is raising issues. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Mrs. Moropoulou. Your contribution is immense on this field. And yes, I remember 30 years ago, maybe even more, well, you were the first one that I have heard to raise these issues. And we were dealing, the architects that we were dealing with the restoration at the Ministry of Culture, which was by then in smaller, in areas apart from Athens, the restoration was done by the archaeologists. So it was not much to learn from them, apart from being very prestigious and careful. And you are an oasis for us. And of course, thank you so much for inviting us all here and for organizing in such a difficult time this conference. So thank you also very, very, very much. Now, well, I think we will conclude this panel now. We still have a quarter of an hour, a small break, or unless someone wants to make a remark or talk about something. I have a remark, especially addressed to you. Well, when we speak about heritage and monuments, we always think of the past. But we must think that maybe now, today, we are creating and we are building the monument of the future. And so heritage is an ongoing progress. It is dynamic progress. We create heritage every day. It's not something of the past that we just have to preserve, or it's something we might be creating. So I'm referring to Titan. Have you ever thought of using materials that will prolong the life of buildings, at least buildings that they are public buildings or they are planned by a firm or a famous architect, and most probably we would like them to stay for a bit longer and become monuments of the future, because that would be also a factor that will make them, if they have a lot of innovation in them, that will make them a monument as well of technology. We have plenty of them already.
Sure, thank you for the question. Well, I think we all know what is the oldest building made of concrete. It's the Pantheon at Rome, right? It stands there for, it's true, it's concrete. Probably made in a different manner than the way we do it today, but it's what we consider to be concrete. And indeed, the structures that we've been building for the past, I would say hundreds of years, many of them have a historic significance, and particularly for Greece, we can think of the forts built before World War II, which have, as I said, historic significance for us. And of course, there's many other buildings, like the buildings by Le Corbusier in Athens, Chiller, and of course they still stand, and that is because the essential ingredient has been made for some time now to, if you want, stand the test of time. Of course, that is maybe an oversimplification of what cement and concrete can do. I would say the essential part is that we build structures for a specific, let's say, design period of time. And for infrastructures such as bridges or tunnels, of course, the service life is extended for obvious reasons. Now, I think, as it was also shown in the slide before, we do look into new functions for, let's say, traditional material. We can call cement and concrete a traditional material. And the essential ingredient practically remains the same. What we see is that new, as we call them oftenly, smart materials will provide new functionalities. And we see that as a very realistic route to ensure that the buildings we make today, the buildings we'll make tomorrow, they will be standing. And the ones that are significant, they will be standing for a long time. So, hope
Yes, of course.
I would like to combine both comments and ask the gentleman from the industry, what is the lesson learned from the 1,000 years of story here in Greece so far as construction's concerned, looking in the direction of Parthenon? For you, of course, as a businessman, looking in the future to compete the rest of the world, because you have a global approach. That's good to know. I mean, they constructed, they did whatever they did, and it's still standing there, yeah? See the pyramids, see the whatever exists here in the Middle East.
That's quite a nice question. Of course, we're referring to different materials in either case. But I think what remains is the, to make any structure, you need the design, you need the aesthetics, and of course, you need the durable materials. And I think this is the common in all these examples. The material itself, me being, I'm a chemical engineer, as Professor Moropoulou mentioned, but essentially what we do is materials. We make sure that the materials we provide will stay there, will be durable, will stand the test of time. And I think this is kind of the common case in all these examples that you mentioned, which are obviously different materials. And design and aesthetics, of course, play their part. Because the test of time does not only include, the physical, let's say, challenges like rain or carbonation. It includes, of course, other challenges. And what has been made with this kind of sense that we've had as a person, let's say, a people with a long history, does ensure that buildings that have the aesthetics, that have the design to last, they will last. And of course, the materials has a.
May I answer? May I answer? Can I answer this? It's a different cosmological model. You don't listen to me. It's a different cosmological model. That's the answer.
In the 21st century, we have a tool named computer, which, you know, we can use like that, everybody. On that time, they didn't have anything. They had, first of all, to master what? The nature. To learn how to be integrated in the environment, to live, to exist, to survive, and find a way to live at least something from this what they achieved for us. They did it not only for this what you see over there on the rock, but they did it even, and I give you the example, pyramids with their tombs and whatever, yeah? It's amazing. Learning from the past, which is the number one, the biggest, the most complex, the most multimodal data available in the world. And if, and in case someone can manage to analyze this knowledge there, that's the future. That's the future, and that's the challenge. It's not only to find the best possible chemical composition to construct, I don't know, for another 100 or 150 years, to extend the life of the concrete for another 50 or another 200 years. I mean, the generations before, in the past, the ancients, gave us so much knowledge. And the challenge today is, what can we do from this, what they created, on knowledge, on memory? A lot of that was lost, but some is there. We are talking about the industry 4.0 today. Just find out, and you know it very well, what the Antikythera mechanism was.
The GPS of that time. I have already said it, and it was rewritten on the newspapers.
Yes.
It was a way of not only for navigation, but also finding how can I say it? It's the GPS of that time. So how to find Earth in the,
Kepler.
on Earth, but why we're making this discussion? This is very interesting, of course, but it's
all about, it's a conference on cultural
it's about
heritage.
bridging the
It's
past
about
and the now, but we are living in a different cosmological theory, and societies are thinking differently. At that time, they made things to last forever. Now we are more aware about how ephemeral everything is, and we're not trying anymore to build forever. Okay.
I know there is on
so
whatever
it's
we
different.
produce,
It's a different
whatever we
approach.
produce, there is an expired date. Yes, I know. I know.
It's different. Yeah. The climate has changed. Materials are not the same. There are more people to be roofed and to be feeded. So it's a different, and we also believe in different values. No, the values are the same, but we have improved. I want to believe. But think about the monuments of the future. So thank you so much for all this very live conversation. And Mrs. Moropoulou, we owe that to you. And you're asking us to come here and gather and have all this live conversation and bring all those stakeholders together. So thank you very much.